Hi, I'm Blair, welcome back to my channel, and I'm here with my first ever author interview, and our author today is Alice Endacott.
Hey.
I'm sorry, I had to double check, I was like, had to get that
right. You did
right.
it really well, it's okay.
Excellent. So, if you don't know who Alice is, she's probably one of my favourite authors at the moment, and she's got 2, soon to be 3 books out.
So the third one is out actually.
It is
only an ebook.
Only an ebook.
Paperback's coming.
Paperback's coming. And you can get that on Kindle.
Yep.
So the first book which I've read, and which is Queendom of the Seven Lakes, it is a much better version of Throne of Glass, because Throne of Glass was just balls. It was so horrible. And then her sequel, which unfortunately I haven't read yet, is King of the Seven Lakes.
A bit of a spoiler in there.
Bit of a spoiler?
In the title.
Ooh.
Gives you an indication.
Yeah. But
it's alright. It's not huge.
I like that they match though.
Yeah, Marcus did a good job.
Yeah. I really like that. We're just going to put them up here. So we have a few questions for you, if that's alright, if you want to answer them. If not, we can just sit here awkwardly and stare at each other. Either way, it's probably going to be amusing.
We can try.
So my first question for you is, where do you get your ideas from?
I saw Neil Gaiman give a really good answer to this, which was, he said, what you want me to tell you is that, like, I take the runes and I throw them up in the air, and that tells me how many sacrifices I need to make, and then I make the sacrifice, then I go down to the basement and the magical wind comes and opens the door, and there's like a bezoar that's, you know, put from a vortex, and then I eat it and I get an idea. And I thought that was the funniest thing I'd ever heard, because I love Neil Gaiman. Basically, or the best answer that I can give you is I get them from questioning, like, everywhere. But also I think I ask what if, I suppose, to just steal blatantly from Stephen King. He says, what if? So with Queendom, initially, I think that the conceit was actually, I said, well, I was writing another book, actually, which is going to come out in about a year. And I said, what if we're talking about an assassin and the morality of someone who takes lives, and having to justify that to someone who can't. And I thought that was a really interesting conversation. And then from there I thought, okay, well, how does that conversation come about? So I said, okay, well, the assassin is paired with someone who obviously doesn't see their world. And then I said, well, why, and how's that conceit building? And then I thought, okay, she's the heir to the throne. I quite like that idea. And I said, but why would an assassin be anywhere near the heir to the throne? And I said, because they're protecting them. Why? Because it's the first male heir to the throne. So you have an idea. I like to build around central, like a scene that I really like the idea of, and then I kind of figure out how did that happen. But it's a very individual thing, like different authors have different experiences, from what I understand.
I like that though, the what if moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a really good answer.
Thank you.
So are you able to walk us through your writing process?
I am such an architect that it would be funny if I weren't so anal about it. So, but also, you won't be waiting 8 years for one of my books. So I like to kind of know what the central idea is, where I want the story to go. I have a book, and I've posted about it a couple of times on Instagram. But I have a book in which I write down, okay, well, this is the character, what's motivating them, is there any important backstory that I'm interested in? So the family of assassins, Eleanor, that's the central character, she comes from the family of assassins, and I'm like, okay, well, how do they happen? How do they work? Why is it that only women have ruled? How is it that the children are conceived? So questions that are inevitably going to arise and that I'm going to have to answer probably within the first 4 chapters. I write down in my plan. And then I figure out where I want the book to go, and then I get a piece of paper and fold it, and each square is a chapter, and I kind of jot down what I think is going to happen in the chapter, and sometimes it goes completely awry. Sometimes I'm like, no, I need an extra chapter. Sometimes I need less chapters, or sometimes it goes in a different direction, but I like to kind of know where I'm going before I start writing the chapter.
Do you do a timeline at all to try and pace it out at all?
No, and that has sometimes been an issue. So Ruthless Land, which is the one that's out at the moment, and the one where we're about to get the paperback. Ruthless Land was a bit shorter than I expected, because I think I was just only action. And so I actually inserted in one of my drafts, I inserted 3 different chapters.
Okay.
but that's why we have editing. That's why we have an editing process, to go back and say, you know what, it's okay, we can pull back. There's space here. Because I write a lot of, I guess I write plot and action, because I don't like filler. Sort of filler really bugs me.
And I think a lot of people hate reading fillers too. Like, there's nothing more boring than just 3 chapters of them talking. Don't talk, do. That's a major...
Or don't world build.
Yes.
So I would argue my books often start out a bit slow, but it's never a point at which I'm just like taking 3 pages to describe a room, or to describe the political structure, or to describe a city's appearance. It's always, well, something is kind of happening.
Yeah.
Or characters moving from one place to another, or doing something. So then when you go back and read it and you say, actually, a bit of space would be nice, or a bit of explanation would be nice here. And then you figure out, what does so-and-so do during that time? You know, what's a filler activity?
Probably lots of wine, right? Or for us?
Yeah, for me, definitely for me. Definitely for me. And I have, you know, my sounding walls in which I talk and the other person just listens. Yeah. And I start with, so I've got this issue, and then I finish with, this is it, I'll do it. Great talk. And they've never said a word.
I love those kind of conversations. I have those conversations with my husband all the time. All right.
With my boyfriend.
Must be a male thing. So my next question is, what advice do you have for young writers?
So you gave me this question ahead of time, and I've been thinking about it all week. It's hard because I am an emerging author still, technically. So, I mean, I am pretty young, early in my career. I guess the first thing is, don't write what you think other people want to write. Write what you want to write. Definitely don't allow anyone to discourage you from writing if that's what you want. And be aware that there are sometimes the biggest hurdle to you wanting to write, or to you pursuing a career as an author, is your own perception of authors, and your own perception of how other people perceive authors, if that makes sense. I was at a dinner and someone came up to me and said, so what do you do? And I say, I write. And they say, well, what do you write? And I went very defensively to start talking about the fact that I write fantasy. Well, I'm writing fantasy at the moment. And I stopped and I said, well, he's a philosophy professor, so I mean, let's not talk about glass houses and stones here. But I said I often go to justify that, and I shouldn't. No. Fantasy is it's a well-regarded genre. People make a lot of money in it. There are people who read fantasy love it. But it's my own head. It's my own perception. So don't let that stop you. That's my advice.
And one of my favourite things about fantasy is there's really no right and wrong.
No.
Actually, there's only one wrong, and that's Twilight with sparkling vampires. But besides that, there's nothing wrong, and there's no limits with fantasy, and that's why it's one of my favourite genres.
The limit is your imagination. The limit is you going, okay, well, so in Queendom, there's the Kryptonite, which are just large cats instead of horses, because they had to get around, across the country somehow. Which it was in King, and then I put it back into Queendom and I was editing it. And I had to get across the country, and I was all set to go horses, and I was like, well, hang on. This is a completely different world. Why are we riding the same animals? Why do we have the same plants? All that kind of stuff. So, and it's pretty funny because I messaged my boyfriend, and I kind of was like, he'll get the context, and I just said, how weird would it be if instead of riding horses, people rode large cats? And he just thought I was talking about in everyday life. So he just sent back, quite. But interestingly enough, people comment on it. People comment on the fact that that's the amount of choice, and they really like that. And I realized when I was doing that, I'm only ever pushing up against my own capacity to keep pushing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. I really like that answer. That's a good answer.
Thank you.
All right. So, what was the first ever book that made you cry?
Northern Lights, Emma Spyglass. No, The Emma Spyglass. So, spoiler, if you haven't read it, but you're a bit late. Lyra and friend of Lyra, male love interest, realize that they can't be together. And I was maybe 8 or 9 at the time, and it's my phone ringing. 8 or 9 at the time, and it was traumatic.
Oh.
Because, you know, like, it's the first time, and they're, you know, they've got this beautiful, and it's like a clumsy love that they kind of get to that stage, and then, you know, they realize that they can't be, or if they're together, one or the other is going to die eventually.
Yeah.
And I was devastated. I ran into the kitchen and I was sobbing, and my mum was like, "I bought you this book. I'm so culpable." But yeah, beautiful, beautiful. I need to go and read, but I'm too scared.
What about Dumbledore? That was mine first. I sobbed for days.
Sobbed with Sirius. I was a lot more okay. Like, I was upset with Dumbledore, but Sirius when Harry's trashing the room and he's saying, "I don't." And Dumbledore says it's human to feel like this, and Harry says, "Then I don't want to be. See, I'm going now." Yeah. He says, "I don't want to be human." That, because it's such. I think, you know, say what you will about some of J.K. Rowling's writing, that was probably one of the most prescient, true reflections of how people behave. And, like, all of us, even if you haven't experienced that kind of loss, it echoes with you, it reverberates with you.
It does.
So it was, yeah.
And I also think it makes you think about people that you have that are alive.
And your fear of losing them.
Yeah. I get that with my nan a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
So my next one is, does writing energize or exhaust you?
Both.
Both?
Yeah, depends on what you're doing. If I'm editing, it's definitely exhausting. If I'm writing, if I'm trying to, like, get a flow going, then it's really tiring, because if you're trying always to, you know, if it's not working, or for some reason I'm just getting like a sentence at a time, that can be tiring. But then when I hit a really good stride and I can get through 2,000 words quite quickly, then I'm really exhausted, really energized, and really, like, happy.
Yeah.
And I don't want to stop, but that's when you need to, when you kind of get to the end of a large chunk, because otherwise you'll be too tired to keep going the next day.
Yeah. That's a good answer. Alright, so what are the common traps for aspiring writers?
Kind of what I said before, don't, like, letting your perception of how other people perceive being a writer stop you or give you pause. I think being arrogant about how good you are, that's an easy one to kind of fall into, because the thing is as well, like, you might be a good writer, but there are a lot of good writers out there, and I think not being great at taking not just feedback, but like, being really sensitive about getting an editor in, or the notion of getting someone external to look at it. You've got to overcome that. If you want to be an author, a lot of people are going to read your books. So you need to overcome that idea of, oh, I don't want to show my precious baby to someone. Do it.
And you can always give your book to friends and families to edit and go through, just to give
Absolutely.
you ideas, pick out mistakes, and help you improve.
Absolutely. And sometimes, like, your friends and family are, like, you've got to pick. You know, my mum once said, about Queendom, she likes Queendom. She said to me, I like this book. I didn't really like the other ones.
Thanks, Mum.
They're getting published next. Like, she's a good person to, and I think, actually, with that in mind, know when you're giving people your work, know where they might come from with their perspective, and don't necessarily let the fact that they dislike it get you down either. So find that balance. Find the balance. But,
Balance
like,
is key.
Get over yourself, basically.
Do you hear that, people?
Oh, I sound mean, don't I?
Harsh critic is a good critic.
Practice every day. I sound like a music teacher. My mum's a music teacher. I did music. I teach too. Practice. Practice. Get over yourself. That's how you get better.
Excellent. It's good advice.
It's mean advice.
It's good though. Harsh advice generally gets you places. If people are always constantly telling you you're really good, you're constantly amazing, then you're not really going to put in that extra effort to get yourself
so much
places.
easier to access publishers now. It's so much easier to put your work online. You are competing with so many more people than you otherwise might have 10, 15, 20 years ago. So if you are serious about succeeding, or if you are serious about getting your work out there, there's no room for you to not give it everything and not be as harsh with yourself as you can to actually get it out there.
Excellent. What is your writing kryptonite? Like Tim Tams, that'd be mine. I'd have to like eat the whole packet of Tim Tams and I wouldn't be doing any writing.
Trashy TV shows.
Ooh,
Yeah.
now we're getting somewhere.
Like,
Oh, sorry, I keep,
no, you're right.
keep
You're right.
meaning you.
You're right.
Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
No.
Or...
Oh, okay. I don't have like the necessary like subscription to see that, but I went through Riverdale in probably 2 weeks, a little bit under 2 weeks. If I find a TV show that I really like, it's gonna slow me down, because it's also like, oh, I've written 500 words and I need to do something else. I may as well just do that thing while I watch an episode of Riverdale. And then 4 episodes later you're like, oh, well, the day is gone. Better luck tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I try to kind of, I mean, that's fine because you need a break. Sometimes you need to just stop and put it away and go. But I've finished Riverdale and I'm not starting anything new until I've finished the manuscript that I'm working on at the moment. Because I just want it done.
Yeah.
Lucifer, at least you can kind of go, oh, well, there's, you know, it's based on a character created by Neil Gaiman, who's a literary genius, so there's some merit in... No, there's not. But I can lie to myself about it. I can lie very well.
Alrighty. Have you ever gotten reader's block?
Yeah. For a number of years, actually. So when I was in year 11 and 12, I kind of stopped reading seriously because I was doing school and it just sort of felt a bit wrong to read. I mean, I didn't do a lot of work, but reading is definitely not doing work. So that kind of, I got out of the habit and the pattern. And then uni started and you restart your pattern in your life, and I just didn't factor it back in.
Yeah.
So I would occasionally read, or if I went away I would read, but I didn't have it as a pattern like where I'd read every night before bed. But then about 5 years ago I started reading again, like really, really all the time. So yeah.
I see, I find I get into like a little bit of a reader's block after reading a really bad book, like The Cruel Prince.
Or after a really good book. Like it's so good that you're like, how can anything I start next top it?
No, see, in my mind I'm like, everything's going to be this amazing. So if I finish a really good book, I jump straight back into the next one. And then I hate the next one.
That's not good.
I know. I got to stop. I got to give myself a break. Because I did it with Gemini and Obsidio. I thought Gemini was amazing. I was like, Obsidio's going to be so good. No, not compared to...
I was a bit upset that everyone... Spoiler. I was a bit upset that everyone survived, actually.
Yeah, me too.
It was built in the way that someone was going to have to... I mean, they'd lost a lot. But the way in which it was this, like, impossible... I was like, someone's going to cuck it.
Yeah.
Side
note, kill your characters. It's more interesting for us.
Well, but actually, I was talking about this. I was writing, and I said, I'm wondering if I should kill off this character, but I don't know if I'm just doing it to prove that I'm the kind of author that can.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think you've got to strike a balance. Don't kill them off for the sake of killing them off, but don't save them because you want a happy ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Not all books need to end in happy endings.
No.
Did you ever consider writing under an alias?
I kind of do.
Yeah?
Yeah, because my full name is Alicejaneboere Endacott, but try putting that on a book cover. Just gonna like wrap around. So A B Endacott. It's enough of an alias that it gives me personal space if I need it.
Yeah. So you don't have people like stalking you on Facebook or anything.
I don't think I'm like popular enough for that to happen.
Maybe one day. Honest. Maybe one day.
But yeah, my Facebook name or my Facebook profile and my like Facebook page and all my social media accounts are different names. So yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Secret identities.
It's not a secret. Not with the internet.
Nothing's a secret anymore. Do you think someone could be a writer if they don't feel any emotions strongly? Like a heartless person like me?
I don't think you're heartless.
Just a little bit.
That is a really good question. I don't know that writing's necessarily predicated on emotion. But I think yes. I think you could be a writer because you can be really intellectual about it. But I think it certainly helps to be able to put yourself in the shoes of a character who's experiencing emotional turmoil and write from that. But theoretically you could do it from a completely theoretical standpoint. I just think it would be weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. If you could tell yourself, yeah, blah, blah. If you could, this happens quite a bit, so bear with me. If you could tell your younger self, there you go, I got that out. Anything, what would it be? Like younger writer self.
Okay, I'm gonna like have better posture.
Just gonna sit up straight now.
I was thinking about this one too, and I think the same sort of thing, like, actually no, that's not true. When I was younger, I was way more okay with it, and then when I was like, I'm gonna be a writer, I was 22 or 23. I'm like, this is what I'm gonna do. And then I said it a bit louder, and my dad was like, sure, and I was like, oh, sure, really? And I was like, yeah.
Thanks, Mom.
But she's litmus test. She's like, well, no, do you want to be one? Is this something you're going to pursue? Do you have a plan? Or is this like an idea? I'm like, well, I want it. She's like, okay, cool. Go with your plan.
Okay.
I think just practice more. Just practice more. You can never practice enough.
It's good.
Yeah.
Are you able to explain your publishing process? Even though we've had this discussion about 5 minutes ago. Are you able to explain it to us?
Okay, so I'm an indie author. That means that rather than getting like Penguin or Walker Books to give me a contract and they publish and distribute and all that kind of lovely stuff, I got sick of going through that process and pitching to agents, pitching to publishers, going through the slush pile. It's a really, even if it's the kind of book that whoever picks it up might like, they also might not like it because of everything that's going on in their day. It might be the 5th book that they've read. They might have read 3 like it already. They might just be in a bad mood. And I thought the effort that I spent getting my pitches ready and finding researching the whoever I was pitching to, be it agent or publisher, and sort of tailoring what I was saying to them, I could actually just put into producing something. So the first thing is write a book.
Yeah.
The second thing is edit your book. Actually, that's my advice to my younger self. Get an editor on board earlier.
Yeah.
So Queendom did not have professional editing. It has been cleaned up. So I think the version that you first read actually did have errors in it.
But I don't judge on errors.
Well, it's a subjective thing. Some people find it really frustrating, others don't. And so this has no typos as far as I'm aware. It's very, but this one had an editor go through and be like, why did you write it like this? Why did you do this? And I'm like, great question, Jason. I don't know. I will fix that. So I think Queendom, but obviously it was edited much more heavily by myself, and I think I got a couple of people to just look through it and make sure nothing's jumped out at them. But, it's made me a better writer having an editor. And in Ruthless, Jason was like, you're using the adverb gently all the time. Why? And I was like, no, I don't. And then I read through it and I was like, yes, I do. Oh, no. Just makes you a better writer. Makes you more aware of things traps that you're going to fall into, that kind of stuff. So you can fall into new and better traps, different traps. So I got to get an editor on board. Then the manuscript or the Word file needs to be formatted correctly, and there are add-ons in Word that you can use, like Kindle add-ons, and they are quite good, quite intuitive, as far as I'm aware. Or you can hire someone to do it. I didn't either, I got my dad to do it. The covers, you find a graphic designer. I mean, if you are so inclined, you can design a cover yourself, but no one recommends that, unless you are a graphic designer. And even then, so I have a graphic designer who does my work. His name is Marcus. He's great. He talks about fonts all the time. Cool. And I said to him, make it different. Make it different. It's going to be on a page in Amazon. It needs to stick out. So that's why if you're looking at this and you're like, this is a weird cover, I don't like it. That is because I wanted it to be like this. I wanted it to be weird. I don't care if it's likable. I care if you remember it's that orange cover with the weird block and whatever. If that's a marketing strategy that works out, I guess we'll see. But I gave him the brief, he went away and did it, and then you upload it all to Amazon and you click publish. And then you need to mark it, obviously.
I actually like your colours.
Thank you.
Especially, if you can zoom in on that. So you've got the crinkled paper in the background, then you've got the orange block. And then you've actually got a picture in the orange block. So it's definitely like a 3-layered process. It's not just something simple.
I really like them.
Yeah.
But I understand that that's not, that's not everyone's cup of tea.
Yeah. I like it. It's got to be a neat cover.
Well, especially if I'm an indie author, I don't have the marketing resources of a publishing company behind me. I don't have the capacity to, whatever it is that they do, like put a book in every bookshop so you see it. It has to be something that is arresting and differentiates, which was what I think it does. And
I like the fact that it's the same throughout the series as well. I really hate it when you buy a series and they've got different pictures and it's different.
Nope.
It's got to match.
Well, I mean, Ruthless has a different sort of, it's the crinkle paper and the sort of the duo colour schemes. But it's a different type of, but it's a different series in the same world. Yeah. So it's like almost like a Discworld sort of situation, I guess. Or like the Avengers, but in books. So it's because it's a different series and a different character, it looks slightly different. That's why.
That would make sense. And the rest of the series would kind of have.
Yeah, they're all going to look that sort of similar vibe. Absolutely.
Yeah. Perfect. That is going to make my OCD happy.
I know.
Or just general bookworms happy. So what was the best thing you've ever spent money on to help you improve as a writer? So for instance, getting yourself a good desk and moving everything out of the way, or getting your room organised. What was the best thing, money or time-wise, that you put into doing something to help?
Well, I do woodwork. So my Instagram is woodwork, wandering and writing. So I made my own desk, which was pretty great.
That is really cool.
Yeah. And so it's a little bit high, which I like because it means that I'm sitting kind of like up a bit. It doesn't fix my posture though, in case you're wondering.
I'm so subconscious. I'm like doing this like the whole time.
It's a total mess. Like I've got stuff here and a little kind of like valley where I put my computer. That was pretty good because it's my space. Like it's my like if I put my stuff on it, but like I write everywhere, so it's not. The best money is probably books. Yeah. Just books that I can read. And on top of that, Stephen King on writing. John Birmingham wrote a book and I can't remember what it's called. But it's very funny and there's some good advice in there as well. Diana Wynne Jones, I'm reading it now. It's The Tough Guide to Fantasyland, which it's a spoof. Yeah. But there's stuff in there and you're like, oh, that's a trope. Good thing that I'm going to avoid it. But books. And like multiple genres.
Yeah. And there's really nothing wrong with buying books.
No.
Really pretty. They're really pretty. What authors did you dislike at first, but then you grew to love them?
I don't know. I think, okay, actually, Alison Croggan is up here. She was recommended to me by my boyfriend and I read it at night when I was alone and it was dark and it was a bit scary at the start. So I didn't like that and I put it away and I refused to read it for like 2 years. And then I read it, I'm like, oh, it's quite good. And only a little bit scary at the start. My boyfriend's like, it's only scary at the start. You can, Alice, come on. I'll sit with you while you read it. And I was like, no, it was too scary. I can't go back. I know. But that's probably if I don't like an author, it's pretty obvious why. So it's only like if for some reason the book starts out in an odd way. But that's the best example I can give you.
That's good. What's your favourite underappreciated novel?
I don't know if it's underappreciated, but it's certainly not talked about much anymore. It's The Song of the Lioness Quartet by Tamora Pierce.
I've never heard of it.
Oh, you'll love it. It's a little bit simplistic now that I like the writing's quite sparse and simple because it's I think for younger writers or like younger readers even, but it's just like, and I go back and read it and some of the things that the characters I'm like, I think that, oh, this is where I got it from. But it's a brilliant quartet. It's just so good and she's amazing and Tamora Pierce is amazing and she's written, if you you would know a new book came out by her and it was a big deal. Plague and Thunder, no, Storm and Siege. It's got feathers on the cover.
Yeah, I've got it in my TBR.
Yeah, you did.
Here.
You did. You unboxed it. I saw it on one of your...
Tempest and Slaughter.
That's the one.
Third,
Tempest and Slaughter.
Yeah, third
so it's the same world. It's kind of like Queendom in that you've got the different characters, same world, and a bit of crossover. It's a character from that world, but like different.
Nice.
So yeah, she's the best. I love her.
I don't think I've read anything by her.
They're quick, easy reads. You'd like it.
Oh, I love quick and easy reads.
Yeah.
It's how I pretty much get through my reading challenge on Goodreads. How do you balance being a writer and a reader? Because I struggle. This is actually a question for me.
As in time or themes or...
More time, because for me reading's hard enough as it is. I've got to work.
Yeah.
And you got to be social with people. I don't understand why.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah.
If I can avoid it.
And then, you know, I spend what time I have after that reading and reviewing.
Yeah. Well, I'm really fortunate in that I do a lot of my work at times, which mean I have like sways across the day when I can write. So if, for instance, like if I have a full day, so yesterday, which was Friday, I didn't have any work. It was amazing. It was so good. I think I was in my pajamas for like the whole day. It was like disgusting, but good. I had a shower, don't worry.
No, that's alright. I wasn't thinking that. I was just like, I want a pajama day on a Friday. That'd be so good.
And like I broke up the pajamas. I had a shower and I changed into different pajamas because I'm clean. Like me.
That's good. Alice is clean, people. She showers. We can trust her.
Oh, like sometimes when you're writing and you're like, I cannot leave until I've written like 1,000 words, and you're like, oh, it's not going to happen. So that was great because, so when I have a full day, I will kind of sit down and I'll do like a bit of admin and I'll write, and then when I kind of need a break, I'll just pick up whatever I'm reading and I'll just like read a chapter or two, and I'll have the computer, like I'll be sitting in front of the computer, so it's like whirring and glowing, and it's like a reminder that I'm here. Yeah. And especially if I'm in the middle of a chapter, if I sort of just need like a little bit of a mental reset, that's perfect. The other times that I read are generally, so I do a lot of tutoring. When I have like students writing an essay, I will just like have the book next to me and pick it up and start reading, because like I can't sort of write the essay with or for them. So I'm like, 5 minutes, you go right, I'm just going to read. And I also read before bed. So I guess like I find time when I couldn't write to read, if that makes sense.
So yeah, I've had to stop reading before bed.
Really?
Yeah, because before I know it, it's like 1 a.m. in the morning. My husband's snoring next to me, and I'm like, I gotta get up for work in like 4 hours.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm generally just tired. Like I can't push through fatigue to read. So last night I was reading and I really wanted to keep reading, and I was so tired that my eyes were closing. And it was like 11 o'clock. I was so tired. So yeah, that's how I can read in bed.
Lucky. I can't, and then I'm the worst morning person, so like getting up in my house is an ordeal for me. And my husband, who's sitting behind there going, yep, it's hell.
Yes.
How long on average does it take you to write a book?
I'm pretty quick and I don't write big books. Like Queendom is 76,000, King is 75. Probably about 3 months, but then I have to edit it.
Yeah.
And that's a kicking and screaming process for me.
And that's around your everyday life as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think planning really helps. This is why I'm such a planner, because you have the opportunity to just kind of know and go.
Yeah. That's good. Can you just plan my life, you know?
No, I don't plan my life. I plan my books, and that makes me feel like I control everything else. Yeah, distraction.
That's good. Do you believe in writer's block? And if so, how do you overcome it?
Yes, because it's like when you get to a point in the story and you're like, oh, no! And I think the way to overcome that is generally like, find someone to have a good conversation with and say, I have a problem, and talk it through. Because most of the time the answer is in your own mind, but living in your mind, you need to get out of it. Yeah. So that's the first thing. I think the second way is also planning. Like if I plan, I know that this is the outcome that I need to get to, or that I want to get to. Sometimes it changes. Yeah. But sometimes the problem is like, okay, I can't get there. But I think just also trust. Like, to quote Isabel Comedy, who I saw at the Emerging Writers Festival, and she's amazing. Trust yourself. Like, trust that you have the answer in you and it will come. Yeah. Don't force it, but also just kind of like meander around and experiment. C.S. Pacat actually said what she does is she writes out like 20 solutions, and that's another one that I've done occasionally. Like, I'll be like, okay, I don't know how to deal with this. I'm just going to write out things that could work. And around 4 or 5, I generally get there.
It's good. I heard Jay Kristoff will always stop in the middle of a sentence. And that's how when he sits down the next, he's like, okay, I'll just pick up, I'll finish this sentence.
And I actually want to start doing that more and more, because that will keep me going. But I can't do that. Like, I don't think I can get to the sentence. I can maybe get to scene. Yeah. And know where I want to go with the next. Like, the best is Queendom, I knew always where I wanted to keep going. And I was like, no, it is 5 o'clock. I've been writing for 8 hours. It is time to stop.
Yeah, we need a bit of...
I need to eat. Or I need to, like...
shower and
watch crap TV.
Yeah, shower and wear clean pajamas. Alright, so how many unpublished and half-finished books do you have?
So we've got the Dark Trilogy that's coming out. It's going to come out around November, December. That's 3 books, obviously.
Yeah.
So I'm in the middle of editing the first one, and then I'll edit the second and third. Then I've got the as yet unnamed book from the first country. And then, so that's 4, and I'm halfway through writing the book in which all of, like, the main characters from like, each series are, like, put in the one book. And it's really fun. It's like, it's really good because to answer writer's block, wanting to write the next character, a different character, propels me forward. To have something that you want to keep writing.
That's good. That's really good. Hopefully this helps you guys. But mind you, I'll put Alice's details below. So if you wanted to contact her on Instagram and ask her a question...
yeah, feel free.
Do it.
They have that question feature now too.
Yes, you can do that. Alright, so my last question today is, what's the most difficult thing about writing characters from the opposite sex? Or do you find it easier to write about characters from the opposite sex?
I don't at this stage. I don't think I'm a good enough writer. I just don't think that I would write a voice that rings true. And I think, and I guess, like, it comes back to what I was saying, you know, advice to younger writers: know your limits, be humble, don't kind of get over yourself. I don't think I am good enough to do that yet. Plus, I quite like writing women. Like, I think there's a lot of stories that you can tell. But I think the hardest thing is, and it's something that you say actually, boys talk, like, especially if you're writing about teenagers.
Yeah.
They talk a certain way. Yeah. And they think certain ways, and they see, and I mean, the question is also, has society conditioned that, or is it something else? But those questions of, like, well, how does the male mind work? Like, what do they see? What's important to them? What are the differentiating points of priority? That's, to me, going to be the hardest thing. Yeah. But once you figure that out, you're golden.
See, I find it the opposite. See, I find it really easy to write from a male's perspective. Females, I really struggle with. Because I know that we, as a female, we overthink, we do all these different things, we always... Yeah.
I write a society that, like, conditions that out.
Yeah. But from a male, it's like, I want to do that. Let's go do it.
Yeah.
And I find that so much easier.
But I think that's partly, and I think I've circumvented a lot of that by writing fantasy. Because then you don't, like, you go, okay, well, because they're all matriarchal societies. The Dark isn't. The Dark is totally equal. And the first country... it's equal, but there's suppression in other ways. But it's not gendered. So, for me, a matriarchal society is where women have the power. So women, I want to do this, so I do it. Yeah. And then when the men experience that hardship, it's like, what they're expected. They're, you know, oh, should I? They're asking if they have the right to do that. But even then, writing from a male perspective, I don't want to make it sound like I'm just putting a female experience in a male body. Yeah. Because that's not accurate. So I don't know.
Now I'm curious. Now I really want to read some of your work from a male perspective.
Okay, well,
I'm a really good judge.
I know. That's why. Because you'll read it and you'll be like, it didn't quite work. And I'll be like, no.
That's like my pet thing, male characters and how they speak. I really can't stand when people expect young males to be
perfectly articulate.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a problem with young women as well, but it's not as big of a problem because I think young women are taught to be a bit more to use their words more so than their grunts, if you will. So that's stuff that I'm still working through. It's like it's percolating in the back of my mind, and then we'll have like a novel from a male perspective. That's how it works.
I'm really excited now.
Actually, I've got a sci-fi or a speculative fiction one that I want to write. And I had initially conceived, after I'm done with all of these, and I've conceived it as from a female perspective because it's what I know, but I could do male perspective. So we'll see where that goes.
I think you could pull it off. I think you need.
I think spec fic especially, because you're still dealing within the society in which, like, so I'm not changing anything and playing with it and then going, okay, well, how does like your identity altered by what we would know, from what we would know by the norms that I've changed. So I can do that.
Excellent.
Thank you. Thank you for helping me with that.
That's all right. I'm always here to help. Thank you so much for actually doing this. This is my first.
Thanks so much for having me. It's been really fun.
So I'm going to put all of Alice's details below so you can go and check out her Instagram, her site, and I'll put the links to her books as well so you can go and purchase them and support an Aussie author because you need to. These books are really, really good.
Thank you. I was looking over there because I'm looking at your Harry Potter collection.
I know, it's getting a little bit out of control. There's like 8 shelves now.
It's looking good. I like it.
Thank you.
And thank you also to like the Australian Bookstagram community. You guys are amazing. Like, obviously I met through Instagram, and you had like, I think only 2,000 followers, and I was so afraid to message you. I'm like, hi, would you be interested in reading my book? So like, but it's such a testament to the generosity and the general loveliness. So
no, I just love to talk. I don't know if it's like being nice or not. It's like, oh, someone wants to talk to me. Cool. Let's just keep going. I'll talk about the weirdest and wonderfulest and ugliest things.
It's really good. It's really good.
Anyway, that's all from us today. We'll see you guys soon. Bye. I would love to have you back if you wanted to.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be back.
Done.
Sounded really like creepy.
No, you're always welcome here. You know where I live now. You just stop by.
That sounds creepy. That sounds creepy.
Oh gosh, sorry people. I don't even remember what I was up to.